Hello there, Romans here and welcome to my next music review. Today it's going to be Godsmack, When Legends Rise.
Music review. Music review.
Godsmack is an alternative metal band that is without a doubt one of the most successful ones, and I think they belong to the last group of rock and metal bands that were really successful towards the end of the 90s. I've heard their debut album along with their third record, Faceless, something like 10 years ago, which just really shows me how fast the time goes by. And Godsmack have arguably one of the most famous metal songs ever, I Stand Alone. It's just, a song that will be probably immortal forever. I love that song. I've heard it in a movie with Dwayne Johnson, I think it was King Scorpion or something like that, and it was also used in the computer game Prince of Persia Warrior Within, as I used to be quite a big gamer, something like, a long time ago. This was one of my all-time favorite games. Since then I haven't really kept track of Godsmack, and when I found out that they were about to release a new record this year, I get kind of excited and I wanted to see where this group was after 15 years, because the last record I've heard from them was Faceless. The frontman of the group said that this new record is supposed to be a new chapter for a group, because with their previous records they sort of like closed the chapter of vintage classic Godsmack, and they wanted to move from the metal territory into a more hard rock sound and hard rock style. And the first single, Bulletproof, has already caused quite a debate where fans kind of like, some of them defend the new style, some of them kind of miss the old days, and it's like, the old versus new Godsmack. I would say that that song pretty much goes in the style of like Shinedown and Breaking Benjamin, and the whole record is pretty much a mainstream rock. Now, I'm personally not a big fan of mainstream rock, because for me this is a genre that is taking the same route as pop music. It's too recycled, there's too much repetition, it's too predictable, too cheesy, and this was demonstrated in, for example, Pop Evil, one of the most successful mainstream rock groups, and their self-titled record that came out earlier this year was just horrible. That was a horrible record. And Breaking Benjamin released Ember, which was not horrible, but it wasn't great. It was like very average record in my opinion. And I think that I've realized this kind of a trend 3 years ago when Shinedown released their Threat to Survival record, which I've actually enjoyed quite a lot because it's a great record. But it kind of shows where the mainstream rock music is today. You've got very short songs that are around 3 minutes long. There are no guitar solos. Usually you've got the first chorus within like 30 or 40 seconds. And it's really, there really isn't any difference between pop and rock music at this point, with the only exception being that pop music is slightly more exposed due to the radios. But I don't really like where mainstream rock and modern rock is heading, because it's just, every band sounds the same, every song sounds the same. And the new Godsmack record is exactly that. It's a very mainstream rock, very different from anything they've released before. But before I even start, I must say that this record was a very pleasant surprise for me. And in a couple of minutes, hopefully, you're gonna see why. So, the record is coming out tomorrow, 27th of April, and as of now I've heard the record 5 times, so let's dive right into it. Even the opening and the title track of the record, When Legends Rise, pretty much shows what you can expect from the record. There are quite some heavy parts on the record, but generally this is a pretty accessible and very melodic record. Some may argue that they don't sound that different from all those groups like Shinedown, Nickelback, Breaking Benjamin and so on. And the answer is, yeah, they might sound the same, but it's the songwriting that matters. And even the first song, When Legends Rise, is a really great song. The second track, Bulletproof, is probably the weakest track on the album. And this is a song that when I heard it for the first time, I wasn't really that excited for the record. I was like, it's too cheesy, too predictable. But fortunately, this is one of very few weaker moments on the record for me. You'll also realize that there is a sort of a guitar solo in this song, and there are really just a very few songs where you find guitar solos. Otherwise, this record pretty much follows the same formula as all the other groups in mainstream rock. The third track, Unforgettable, was a pretty big surprise for me, because there are many whoa-ohs in a song, something that 30 Seconds to Mars likes to do in almost every song, and if it was a song from 30 Seconds to Mars, it would have like 50 oh-ohs throughout the song. But it's something that comes as a pretty much of a surprise in a song, because it's relatively unpredictable, and it's very interesting combination of that sort of a mainstream rock, almost alternative rock, with those very much like pop chorus, and it sounds really great. This is one of the best songs on the record, and I just love how subtle those chorus are, but how great they sound, and they really work for the song. So this is important. You can have any arrangements and any production you want. You can have the biggest production in the world, but if the song sucks, then the production can only do so much. And every part of me continues that trend that the previous 3 tracks started. It's again very melodic song where you've got that sort of like a battle between heavier and more melodic parts. Take It to the Edge is a little heavier, and this is another one of those songs that I really enjoyed. It's got a really great chorus. The 6th track, Under Your Scars, is a song that is based on the piano. You've got some violin and some string arrangements, and this is a ballad, and this was a pretty surprising song for me, because this is probably the most emotional I've ever heard Godsmack to be.
Don't cry.
I won't. It's an interesting song. I personally, from a songwriting point of view, I could imagine a little stronger chorus there. Someday is a song that is very reminiscent of Shine Down, and this is a song that I think takes a little more time or more listenings to fully appreciate, because it's not that straightforward. The following 2 tracks, Just One Time and Say My Name, are both kind of like okay songs, nothing special, but Say My Name is interesting for being a little old school. It's got kind of like a hard rock riff, like from the 90s, from the early 90s or late 80s. Let It Out is another winner for me on the record. This is a song where I think Godsmack sound the most like their old self, and it's a song that sort of seems like a combination of that alternative metal and that hard rock that they play now, and it's got, I think that the chorus is really great. The last track is called Eye of the Storm, and it's again a pretty okay song, a little heavier, and I think a decent closing of the record. To sum up, this record is relatively short. I think it's around 38 minutes. So this is another kind of like a standard feature of mainstream rock records today. But I think that this is the best mainstream rock record, or just like modern rock record, I've heard in like last 2 years maybe. It's really, I was so surprised by how much I enjoyed those songs that it made me hungry for hearing it more and more. And I'm personally, as I said already, not a big fan of this genre, as it's just, you know, it doesn't do anything for me anymore. But yet again, it's not really that much about the style as it's about songwriting. And even though Godsmack are becoming maybe more commercial than they were before, they do it in a way that's really enjoyable. So if you are a huge fan of Godsmack and of their older records, I'm not sure how much you're going to appreciate the new ones, but if you are not necessarily a fan of Godsmack, or even if you think that their older songs were not that good, you may actually find a new one interesting. So if you like catchy songs, energetic songs, great melodies and very decent songwriting, I would recommend you to check this album out. So the final score and my excitement with this record may took the better of me. I'm giving it 8 points out of 10. We'll see how this record stands the test of time. Maybe after a couple of months it will go down to 7, maybe it will stay at 8. But this is definitely a record that is really good. It's a really good record. When legends rise means keď legendy povstanú. I hope you liked this review. If you did, don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook or on Instagram. You can find the links to both in the description below. If you already heard the record, you can leave a comment in the comment section below how much you liked the record, or if you agreed with me or you didn't, or how well do you think the new album compares to the older ones. You can also recommend me which records do you think are the best from Godsmack. Also, don't forget to check out my album that came out exactly a week ago. It's called Pursuits in Life, and the first official video is on my channel. It's called We're Building Our Own Monument, and it's a music that's pretty unique because it's a rock music without guitars. Instead, you've got drums, bass, saxophone and keyboards, pretty much giving you a unique and one-of-a-kind listening experience. So be sure to check it out, let me know your thoughts, and thanks a lot for watching. And if there are any bloopers at the end, here they are.
Action. 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 Viacej trošku. Dobre.
Hello there.
Action.
Hello there.
Action. Godsmack review. Godsmack review.
Tichie.
Máme chvíľku a o 21 nebudeme.
This is little Julie.
Nie,
Show how much you hate.
this much.